My sworn enemy hated it most when I called her by her nickname, Little White Tiger. Every time I did, she'd come to my door and throw a tantrum. She'd say I was insulting her. But one morning, when I woke up, I found that the girl who'd been eating spicy snacks and wiping her nose yesterday was now radiant in a long dress. I couldn't help laughing. White Tiger, why are you wearing your mom's clothes again? But this time, she didn't get angry. Her eyes reddened as she hugged me tightly. Fang Yuan, can you call me that one more time? Seeing my sworn enemy's aggrieved face, then the identical daughter beside her, I finally realized I was no longer 20. No one knew how absurd my experience had been. When I woke up, I'd somehow leaped 18 years into the future. Not only had I married my sworn enemy, by Ningbing, I'd even had 3 children with her. 3 days earlier, I got a call in my sleep. Hello, is this Fang Xiaoning's father? I'm her homeroom teacher, Ms. Liu. Xiaoning skipped class again today. Could you come to the school? Without another word, I hung up. There were too many scammers these days, making random nuisance calls. I've been single my whole life. How could I have a child? If they wanted to scam someone, they could at least make up a believable excuse. But as I was about to go back to sleep, I glanced aside and saw a huge wedding photo on the wall. I shot a pride in terror. Then I looked around. This wasn't my bedroom at all. I'd gone to sleep and woken up somewhere unfamiliar. Had I been kidnapped? I jumped out of bed, ready to check outside the window, when unfamiliar memories flooded my mind. They knocked me off balance, and I crashed to the floor, landing face first. But I ignored the pain and hurriedly checked my phone. It was somehow 2026, but leaping 18 years ahead wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that I'd married by Ningbing, my sworn enemy. So that call had been real. My daughter, Fang Xiaoning, had skipped class again. I stood there dumbfounded. It took me a long time to accept reality. I picked up my phone again and called Ms. Liu back. Sorry, Ms. Liu. Something happened just now. I'm heading to the school now. After hanging up, I grabbed the car keys and rushed downstairs. I ran into the housekeeper. She cautiously asked, Sir, are you going out? Would you like me to arrange a car? No, I'll drive myself. When I reached the garage, the luxury cars left me speechless. Had I struck it rich? Or had by Ningbing? I pondered that all the way. Arriving at the school gates half an hour later, pulling up beside me was a black Cullinan. I couldn't help taking a few extra looks. Then, the next second, the driver's window rolled down. The driver respectfully called me sir. Right after that, the Cullinan parked beside my Porsche. The rear door opened, and out came by Ningbing. 18 years later, like me, she'd shed her youthful innocence and gained a touch of maturity. But by Ningbing's transformation went far beyond simple maturity. When her gaze swept over me, I nearly lowered my head, but I quickly straightened up. She was my wife now. After all, why are you here to? Did the teacher call you to? She merely hummed in reply and walked past me into the school. I followed close behind, watching her back. I grew more suspicious. Was our marriage unhappy? Why did she just glance at me and leave? She hadn't said a word to me. Even if we'd once been sworn enemies, we were married now and had children together. It shouldn't be like this, should it? Could she be seeing someone else? We entered the office one after the other. Ms. Liu immediately came over. For the next half hour, the conversation revolved around my daughter, Fang Xiaoning, including skipping class, fighting, and even currying favor with local thugs. By the end of it, I got the message. My daughter needed serious discipline, or she'd become a complete delinquent. I never imagined my daughter would turn out this way, but reality slapped me hard in the face, because my eldest, Fang Han, had skipped class too. As we left the school, I saw by Ningbing about to leave, and angrily stopped her. Is this how you raise our children? Every one of them skips school and acts out. Is this how you act as their mother? By Ningbing pushed aside the hand blocking her path, then gave a cold laugh. Why did the children turn out this way? Don't you know? What would I know? I opened my eyes and found myself here. I don't know anything. Don't shirk your responsibility. You're their mother. You can't deny your part in turning them into this. Now come with me to find our daughter. By Ningbing didn't refuse. She opened the car door and gestured for me to get in. I drove here myself, so I had to hand the keys to the driver and have someone drive my car back. Once I got into the car, the woman actually shifted sideways, putting some distance between us. I completely lost my temper. What are you doing? Do I have the plague? Why are you sitting so far away? At that, Bai Ningbing looked utterly confused. Even the driver couldn't help glancing back. He thought I was acting strangely today. Not only was I riding in the same car as Ms. Bai, I was even complaining that she wasn't sitting close enough. On the way, my mind was completely blank. I had no idea where to find the 2 little delinquents who had skipped school. Fortunately, Bai Ningbing knew. Half an hour later, I stood outside a gaming club. I casually picked up a stick from the ground. Come on, I'll beat that little brat to death. Even when I was young and loved to have fun, I never skipped class. At most, I went out to play after school, and my parents were never called to school. My daughter has really made me proud. The younger generation is worse than the last. Inside the club, Fang Xiaoning was completely absorbed in her game. The phone beside her suddenly vibrated several times. One of her no-good friends behind her asked, "Sis Ning, are you really not going back to class this afternoon?" The girl looked utterly defiant. "No way I'm going." "Sis Ning, what if the homeroom teacher calls your parents?" Fang Xiaoning said nothing. She didn't care in the slightest. Her mother was always busy with work, flying all over the country year-round. Even if she wanted to discipline her, she had no time. As for me, I never bothered with her at all. I didn't even like her. The two of us fought constantly. We'd argued countless times about getting divorced, and had even started living separately. Before long, we would officially be divorced. Fang Xiaoning had already made up her mind. She wouldn't live with either of us. "Sis Ning, that guy looks like your dad." Fang Xiaoning finally reacted. She let out a cold laugh. "Are you blind? Why would my dad ever come here?" As she spoke, she looked in the direction her friend was pointing. But the next second, her entire body suddenly stiffened. I was checking everyone one by one. I searched until my eyes blurred, but still couldn't find her. So I turned around. "Are you sure Xiaoning is here?" "Not really." "Then why did you bring me here?" "Don't rush. I see her." As she spoke, Ningbing pointed into the distance. Once I saw where she was pointing, I immediately rushed over. By then, Fang Xiaoning had put down her game console, her little face tense as she watched us. She hadn't seen the two of us together in a long time. For a moment, she was in a daze. I grabbed her by the collar and hoisted her up. "You're coming with me right now." I waved the stick in my hand. If she refused to obey, I really would hit her. Fang Xiaoning said nothing and didn't resist. She obediently followed us out of the club. I walked behind her. Seeing her like that, I angrily turned and glared at Ningbing. "You let her become like this and still do nothing. What exactly have you been doing?" Ningbing didn't argue. She simply thought I was acting very strangely today. So, once we were outside the club, she stepped aside and used work as an excuse to call a doctor. "Dr. Qin, this is Ningbing. Could my husband's car accident have caused his amnesia?" After hearing her describe his symptoms, Dr. Qin answered with certainty. "Yes, Mr. Ning had a blood clot in his brain, but he refused to stay in the hospital for treatment and discharged himself against medical advice." "All right, I understand." I stood with my daughter by the car, waiting for Ningbing to finish her call. When she came over, I hurried her into the car. "What a busy woman you are. We've only just found our second child. What about the eldest? Let's find him quickly. It'll be dark soon." Ningbing watched me rush around anxiously, then suddenly grabbed me. She asked tentatively, "Why aren't you wearing your wedding ring today?" At her question, I looked at my bare finger. My mind went blank. I wasn't wearing it when I woke up. How would I know why? But so she wouldn't notice anything strange. I stammered out an explanation. I was in such a rush to leave that I forgot to bring it. Ningbing said nothing more. She merely hummed and got into the car with me. He really had lost his memory. That wedding ring had been thrown away years ago. During one of our arguments, she'd thrown it away herself. Inside the car, I coldly stared at my daughter, who had skipped school. I wondered how to talk to her. Though Fang Xiaoning remained silent, her eyes kept darting between Ningbing and me. They had actually come to find me together this time. Had they made up? Were they no longer getting divorced? When I realized we were heading home, I couldn't help speaking up. "Why are we going back? We haven't found our eldest yet. He's already home." "What did you say?" "Everyone's already home." It seemed he'd really forgotten a lot, or perhaps he simply hadn't cared before about anything the children did. Whenever Fang Han, the eldest, skipped class, he wasn't out partying. He quietly went straight home. He was introverted and disliked talking. To put it bluntly, he was completely withdrawn. When the car pulled into the villa, Fang Xiaoning got out first and ran straight inside. I quickly called after her. "Stop right there." Fang Xiaoning stopped. She turned to watch me approach. She used to skip class to get my attention, but I never cared. I wouldn't even ask her why. But today, "Tell me, why you skipped class? If you can't give me an answer, do you see this stick? I'll beat you to death." Fang Xiaoning suddenly felt a little ache in her backside, but she didn't back down. She held her head high. "I just don't want to go to class." "You don't want to go to class? Then what do you want to do?" "This is infuriating. You skip class and still act like you're right. Tell me, what do you want to do instead of going to school?" "Play video games. Is that it?" The stick in my hand poked Fang Xiaoning's shoulder again and again. Each poke forced her back another step. After a long moment, her face red from holding it in, she spoke. "Yes, I like playing video games." At that answer, I heaved with rage, my chest rising and falling. Then I covered my head and leaned back. When Ningbing saw this, her face immediately went pale with fright. She thought the anger had triggered something in my head. Without thinking, she caught me from behind. I fell into her arms. A light, delicate fragrance reached me. I couldn't help taking a few deeper breaths. But when I turned around again, my daughter had already run off. That made me even madder. I shoved Bai Ningbing away and stormed into the house. In the villa's living room, my second child was nowhere in sight, but I did see my eldest, sitting upright on the sofa. When I entered, the boy merely glanced at me coolly, then immediately looked away, returning to the book in his hands. Seeing that, I walked straight over and stood in front of him. "Why did you skip class today too?" But I waited a long time and never got a reply from Fang. It was as if I didn't exist. He kept reading quietly. After being dealt blow after blow by both children, I felt like I'd aged 10 years in an instant. I dropped heavily onto the sofa, questioning my entire life. Damn it all. What did I do wrong? How did I raise my children into this? Bai Ningbing turned to leave, but I immediately stopped her. "Where are you going? Come upstairs with me." The maid bringing in tea looked slightly startled at this. She didn't dare look further and quickly lowered her head. As I pulled Bai Ningbing upstairs, the boy who had been reading finally looked up from his book. His eyes were full of confusion. After all, before this, we'd had a huge fight. Afterward, I wouldn't even let Bai Ningbing upstairs. I even gathered up everything she'd left behind and threw it all out. Fang Hong couldn't understand what had gotten into me today. My nemesis hated it when I called her by her nickname, Little White Tiger. Every time I called her that, she'd throw a tantrum at my front door, claiming I was insulting her. But one morning, when I woke up, I found that my nemesis, who'd been eating spicy snack sticks and wiping her runny nose just yesterday, was suddenly radiant in a flowing long dress. I couldn't help laughing. "White Tiger, why are you wearing your mother's clothes again?" Upstairs, I dragged Bai Ningbing into the bedroom. In the enormous room, our old wedding photograph still hung on the wall. She kept staring at the wedding portrait, but I didn't think much of it. I just sat at the foot of the bed and patted it. "It's almost dark. Where are you going?" "We've found our daughter. But there are too many problems. They're still so young. Yet every one of them skips school. At least our third child is well behaved." Bai Ningbing had to interrupt me. "The third one skips class too. And the third child's problem is even worse." I fell silent for a moment. "Since all three children have problems, we need to correct them before it's too late. I know you're busy with work, but we can't neglect raising the children. Even if our marriage has problems, they're still our own children. We can't give up on them, can we? From the few hours we've spent together, it's clear our marriage has serious issues. I don't expect us to fix our relationship, but we can't let the children go off the rails. Why aren't you saying anything? Say where you stand." Bai Ningbing watched me ramble on and on. She felt that what I just said was something she wouldn't have dared dream of. Could amnesia really change someone? But whatever the outcome, she wanted to take a chance. So she nodded. "All right, I'll work with you to raise all three children. Then we're on the same page." "Shake on it." Satisfied, I held out my hand. Bai Ningbing hesitated for a few seconds, then shook my hand. She let go first and turned to leave, but I stopped her again. "Why are you always trying to leave? Who out there is so worth rushing off to?" Bai Ningbing had no way to explain herself. She could only stop. "Our second child likes video games, right? We have games at home, don't we?" Bai Ningbing nodded. "Bring games to the second child. Lock her in her room. Don't let her out. Call the teacher and excuse her. When I say we're going to straighten the kids out, I'm not just talking. We start tonight." So after Fang Xiaoning ran back to her room, she thought I'd come upstairs to hit her. But the one who came wasn't me. It was her stone-faced mom. Her cold-faced mom carried in the games and set them on her desk. "I've arranged a week's leave from school for you. You can stay home and play all the video games you want. No matter how long you play, no one will stop you." Looking at Bai Ningbing's icy face, Fang Xiaoning was a little afraid of her. But when she thought of her mother's incompetence, driving dad to seek a divorce, she found her nerve again. "Why should I do whatever you say? Wouldn't that make me lose face? Suit yourself." Bai Ningbing left after saying that. She also locked the room. She even had someone stationed outside to watch the windows. At first, Fang Xiaoning had no interest in the games her mother sent in, but after waking from a nap, she was bored out of her mind. So she opened them for a look. They were all popular games. She instantly perked up and played without eating or sleeping. Time flew by. By the time her stomach was growling and she went downstairs to eat, she realized the room was locked. She violently kicked at the door from inside. The housekeeper had already reported it to me. "If she's crying that she's hungry, send some food in." After the housekeeper left, I checked the time. It was already 11 o'clock. Why hadn't Bai Ningbing come back to bed? With that thought, I went to the study and pushed the door open. Bai Ningbing was sitting at her computer, apparently approving documents. "It's the middle of the night, and you're still not asleep. Are you planning to stay up all night? Turn off the computer and come to bed." At those words, Bai Ningbing's cold face finally showed emotion, so she obediently shut down the computer. Then we entered the bedroom, one after the other. When this bedroom was first decorated, we had two large walk-in closets built, but after she moved out, there wasn't much left in them. Earlier, while getting ready for bed, I'd suspected she had another home somewhere else. But now, our marital problems were far less important than the children's upbringing, so I simply urged her to wash up and get to bed. Then I climbed under the covers. Although we already had 3 children, the current me, I had no idea how to raise children. The more I thought about it, the more I tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. When she came out after her shower, she immediately noticed my restless movements. She dried her hair, then gently lifted the covers and slipped in. I pretended to be asleep and lay perfectly still, but my old sleeping habit acted up again. I'd pinned most of the blanket beneath me, leaving by Ningbing very little. So, when she tugged at it, I, blanket and all, rolled right over beside her, feeling her warmth and softness. I was so embarrassed that I broke out in goosebumps. Bai Ningbing's body instinctively stiffened. My heart was pounding. So was hers. Bai Ningbing looked terribly nervous. Ever since she married me, we had gradually turned our marriage into a complete mess. We had never experienced such shy, nervous moments. Worse still, the emotions she'd suppressed for so long were finally beginning to stir. Just then, I cleared my throat and tried to break the silence first. But before I could speak, the woman behind me sprang up from the bed like a spring. I'm going to take a shower. With that, Bai Ningbing left under my puzzled gaze and walked into the bathroom again. Watching her turn away so decisively, I felt a suffocating heaviness in my chest. Was I really that repulsive? Bai Ningbing had only brushed against me once, and she already looked disgusted. She'd even rushed straight into the bathroom to shower. Thinking this, I angrily turned on the bedroom light and examined my face in my phone. I did have a few signs of age, but I was still a handsome Chinese man. Who was Bai Ningbing to look down on me? Bai Ningbing stayed in the bathroom for more than half an hour, only after taking 3 cold showers. Did she force herself to calm down? When she dried herself and returned to the room, she saw me sitting blankly at the head of the bed. I was deep in thought. When I looked up, I asked irritably, "What are you doing? Are you cross-eyed now? If you have nothing to say, then shut up. Just looking at you makes me angry." After venting at her, most of my anger faded. Then I remembered the daughter I'd locked in her room and grew worried again. I just checked my phone and found that I'd chatted most with Fang Xiaoning's homeroom teacher. It was either a report that the girl had kicked her deskmate into a pool at school again, or a complaint that she'd torn up the top student's exam paper. Bai Ningbing, tell me, can we really straighten that girl out? I hinted that Bai Ningbing should say something encouraging, but to my surprise, Bai Ningbing didn't hesitate. Before answering no, curious, I grabbed the pillow and threw it at her. "You're sleeping on the floor tonight." Bai Ningbing picked up the pillow from the floor. Without a word of protest, she walked to the sofa in the corner of the master bedroom and lay down. After the lights went out, I still couldn't fall asleep. I watched Bai Ningbing's sleeping face. Before I knew it, it gradually merged with the stiff face in my memories. Then I remembered how she'd always opposed me when we were children and gotten me scolded by our family. When she grew up, she had even cheated on me, leaving me with a mountain of family problems. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. So, I quietly slipped out of bed and felt my way to Bai Ningbing's vanity. I picked up an eyeliner pencil and drew a huge turtle on her face. Meanwhile, Fang Xiaoning, locked in her room, had no intention of sleeping. After all, even too much gaming could become a problem. Frustrated, she crouched by the crack beneath the door and peered outside. She happened to see Fang Han walking past with a book. Big brother, save me." But Fang Han had a vacant stare and unfocused eyes. He was oblivious to everything around him and didn't care in the slightest what happened to his sister. Fang Xiaoning could only watch helplessly as her big brother, like a sleepwalker, walked past her door. She angrily pounded on the door. She had originally planned to climb out the window and escape, but the guard downstairs was still guarding the place in the middle of the night. Fang Xiaoning crouched in the corner and irritably raked her fingers through her hair. Just then, her phone rang. "Sister Ning, where are you? Get over here. Quick, that Zhao guy has gathered a bunch of people at the pier. They're giving you half an hour. If you don't show up, they'll tell the entire school you're a coward." That reminder made Fang Xiaoning remember that she'd arranged a fight, but she was trapped in her room. After thinking it over, Fang Xiaoning's eyes finally landed on the bookshelf. Then she suddenly remembered there were matches in her drawer. The next moment, the entire room filled with thick smoke. The guard downstairs had just been about to doze off when a huge cloud of smoke billowed from Fang Xiaoning's window. Frightened, he hurried upstairs and unlocked the door, but the moment he opened it, he saw a large message written on the wall in marker. "Bye-bye." His face went rigid when he saw it. He didn't even have time to inspect the burning bookshelf and rushed straight to the windowsill. Fang Xiaoning was standing on a tree branch. She jumped down and landed safely on the lawn. After casually brushing the dirt from her hands, she raised a finger toward the second floor. "Second miss. If Mr. and Mrs. find out, you'll definitely be punished." Fang Xiaoning didn't take his warnings seriously. They're practically divorced already. When would they have time to deal with me? Even if Dad suddenly felt like disciplining me these past few days, he'll forget all about it soon enough. If they really wanted to control me, they'd have done it long ago. They wouldn't have left me to fend for myself all these years. With that thought, Fang Xiaoning ran straight for the gate without hesitation. Before long, the smoke in the room grew thicker and thicker. I woke up choking on smoke, and I immediately ran into the hallway. Bai Ningbing followed close behind. Then we saw the villa's servants carrying buckets of water up and down the stairs, apparently trying to put something out. When they saw us emerge, the man guarding Fang Xiaoning hurried over to report. The second miss set everything in her room on fire. As soon as I heard that, I flew into a rage. I stormed into Fang Xiaoning's room in a few strides, but there wasn't a soul inside. Where is she? The guard nervously wiped the sweat from his brow. She climbed out the window. Then she ran. When I heard that, I turned toward the window and the large tree outside. Bai Ningbing simply, silently watched me leap round. Every so often, she followed my movements and hurried behind me, afraid I might fall. But the next second, I turned my anger on her. Bai Ningbing, you're so rigid and proper in everything you do. How did you end up with such an unruly daughter? Maybe she inherited it from her own mother. Bai Ningbing's words sent me into a rage. I jumped straight up. Then I began searching the entire room for a stick. That girl actually dared to provoke me like this. I'll beat her black and blue. But after I found a stick, I suddenly realized I had no idea where Fang Xiaoning had gone. After climbing out the window, Bai Ningbing poured me a glass of honey water. Drink some water first. Calm down. It's the middle of the night, and our daughter is missing. How am I supposed to stay calm? You're a terribly irresponsible mother. Bai Ningbing had no choice but to set the water in front of me. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed the glass and gulped it down. Just then, Bai Ningbing noticed our youngest son, Fang Yuan, who had been hiding in his room. He had actually come into the living room. He clutched a drawing in his little hands and timidly walked over to me. He gently poked my hand. When I turned around, I came face to face with an adorable little face. I quickly realized this was my third son, Fang Yuan, so I quickly forced a smile and gently pinched the child's cheek. You must be Fang Yuan. What do you need Dad for? Fang Yuan didn't say a word. He simply handed me the drawing. I took it. And look, he had drawn an abandoned pier, with a girl standing in front of it. The girl you drew is your older sister? Fang Yuan nodded cautiously. I didn't understand. I turned to Bai Ningbing and asked, what is your son trying to say? Why does he only draw pictures without saying a word? Why is he so withdrawn? Bai Ningbing wore a complicated expression. Several seconds later, she finally spoke slowly. Fang Yuan can't speak. I still hadn't processed it. I instinctively asked, what do you mean he can't speak? This time, Bai Ningbing said nothing. She only gazed at me quietly. After a few seconds, I shot to my feet. At last, I realized that my third son couldn't speak. That thought made my head spin. My eldest son had shut himself away. My second daughter was rebellious, and my third son couldn't speak. What had I done to deserve this? While I was still reeling in shock, Bai Ningbing glanced at the drawing and continued. Fang Yuan is trying to tell us that Xiaoning went to the abandoned pier on Nan Street to get into a group fight. Her words immediately brought me back to my senses. Then, what are we waiting for? Let's go. I grabbed the stick and headed for the door. But just then, the servants had just finished dealing with the thick smoke. The moment they saw Bai Ningbing's face, they lowered their heads and covered their mouths, snickering. Only then did I remember that I'd drawn something on Bai Ningbing's face. What is it? Is there something on my face? The servants didn't need to guess who had drawn the turtle. They simply couldn't figure out what exactly was going on between us. Everyone lowered their heads and stayed silent. Fortunately, the longest serving servant, NGÅN, spoke up in time. Ma'am, would you like to look in the mirror first? As soon as Bai Ningbing entered the bathroom, she saw that her face was covered by a crooked, lopsided turtle. She stared at it with a frown for quite a while, but couldn't remember when I'd drawn it. Meanwhile, I stood in the living room with the stick in hand and pretending nothing had happened. Once we were in the car, Bai Ningbing finally couldn't hold back and asked, why did you draw a turtle on my face? When we used to argue, we traded insults and smashed things, but never had we resorted to something as childish as drawing a turtle. I was too thick-skinned to care. I simply said, it was fun. Seeing me stare straight ahead, Bai Ningbing said nothing more. It was after 2 in the morning. The car sped through the night. I watched the streetlights outside the window and fell into deep thought. Ever since I transmigrated into this world, it hadn't been hard to see that my marriage to Bai Ningbing was on the verge of collapse. Even with 3 children, it was barely holding together. Had we really been like this every day since we got married? Did we really start fighting whenever we disagreed? With parents who were such a bitterly mismatched couple, it was no wonder all 3 children had psychological problems. Thinking about that, I felt a